Coach, maybe just your first impressions of Oral Roberts here as you look ahead to the weekend.
Yeah, I've gotten a chance to watch him. Haven't really got a chance to study him much, just because honestly, it's been more about us since Saturday or since Sunday than Oral Roberts. So that's kind of where my focus has been. I know I'm going to meet with Coach Stevens and get going on Oral Roberts here this afternoon, but just really impressed with their their ability on offense is high. From the Amos, and I'm going to mispronounce names because I'm bad with names, but the Amos kid, O'Banner, those two guys are playing at a high level, and then they've got a very experienced, tough, very skilled, talented group to go around them that I think understand their role and their job, and they fulfill those roles pretty well. So very, and they're good on defense, and they're talented. I mean, I don't want to. But boy, from an offensive standpoint, they're very good. They played some high major teams. That's some of the games I've watched. I think it was Arkansas and Oklahoma, and there's not a lot of difference in those guys. So I think they're obviously a very good team.
Caleb Nero, I know he was with us last week during the press conference, but is there anything that you can identify with him and the coaching staff and maybe see if you can get him going a little bit offensively? I mean, it's a long season. He had a couple of nice games early, but is there anything that you've been able to kind of see with him? Because I think he's going to certainly be important for you guys as you move forward through the season.
Yeah, and as we're watching film with him, the things that we're trying to point out is just the quick decisions he's got to make, and it's a few weeks ago it was more of a, hey, be shot ready, and don't look to bounce it so quick. And then sometimes there's been some overhandling, overbouncing with the ball. And when that happens, he misses things. And the one thing with Caleb, and I think it's something, since we've kind of changed in the last 2 weeks, a little bit of style of offense, like we're still getting that. And today's practice was really good for him. I felt it was the first time he really relaxed and started making reads and making the right play instead of just trying to make the play. And so the thing with Caleb is he can make the right pass. He can whether it's a pocket pass on a roll or a short roll or whether it's throwing back to a shake guy, as we call it, or getting the penetration and then finding the open guy on the weak side. Like, he's shown he can make those plays. I don't feel like he's made those plays the last few weeks in games. So that's kind of been our focus with him. Super fantastic young man that only wants to find out how he can help more. So sometimes you're holding on too tight and you're not allowing yourself to just relax. I think he feels maybe that I got some pressure, I got to score more, I got to do this. And sometimes you're grabbing onto that golf club so hard that you wind it into somebody's patio alongside hole 9. I'm saying that from experience. And there's some truth to that. We're all he's still trying to find that role and how he fits. And it's just not maybe coming as easy as he'd like. So, it's something that I think he's working on.
In the win against Kansas City, you guys had 3 double-digit scores. Do you think that's kind of be the key going forward, is getting as many players the ball as you can, kind of spread the effort a little bit?
Well, I mean, obviously Phil's going to get a lot of attention. He's getting double-teamed. We want his shot attempts higher. We want him getting more looks. We've tried to change a little bit to allow him some freedom on the perimeter more. So he gets that look from 3, but also can kind of get those catches around the elbow and ISO guys. And then at that point, when the defense really centers on him, it's a lot of times through that weak side, there's wide open abilities too. So it's a combination of Philip making that right read, and when he does, guys got to be shot ready, and they've got to be ready to make quick decisions. And then sometimes it's him holding on to it and he's getting raked sometimes, or when he puts it on the floor, the defense are so fixated on him, whether it's in the post attacking or he attacks to the post. The doubles are coming, so it's navigating through that and making the right play out of that. But we need the ball to go into Phil's hands more, and use it with a guy like Mitchell Suker more. There's just some turnovers coming from that spot that we need to clean up. But you want balance, but in order to have balance, you also need guys to finish some plays. There's been open shot opportunities we're not knocking down. There's open shot opportunities we're passing up. And then we're not always making that right quick decision. And so we got to keep working. We got to keep going to the lab and not making excuses for it. As a staff, we've got to continue to break down things to help them make those reads and get better from it. So, but, we scored 50. What did we score in that win? 52 points? 3 guys in double figures. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad for 52 points, but I still think there's other guys that need to step up more. It was good to see De'Sean offensively step up more in that second game. He's a guy that could help us a lot. But again, 2 sides of the floor. We've got to be better on both sides. And that's what let us down on Sunday. 16 free throws, missed 10, missed 3 front ends. We were ultimately 6 of 19 from the free throw line, and we were 0 of 7 from 3. And when you're that way against Kansas City, it's like throwing blood in the water, and the Sharks come. And they enjoyed every minute of it. And so, when you're playing against a team that fouls more than any other team in the country for the most part, you got to make free throws. And we did on Saturday, we didn't on Sunday, and it really affected us. It really affected us and how hard we really competed on the defensive side of the floor. So opportunities were there. We just got to do better at taking advantage of them.
I know you split the series, but to get that conference win, the first one back from the break, what did that do for the team?
A win's great, man, and you got to celebrate them. And we talked about it, honestly, after that Kansas City win on Saturday. And if anybody was at the game, I think you looked at a group of guys that didn't exactly look like they just won a game. I think they looked like we got to do this again tomorrow because it was that physical, that hard fought. And this is how it's going to be. Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, same opponent back to back. You win, you're going to get a team that's hungrier and more ready to fight you the next night. And so the psychology of sport comes into play. And so, yeah, absolutely. But whether you split, whether you win 2 or lose 2, you've got to fight to the end for 40-plus minutes. We weren't perfect on Saturday, but I thought our fight was pretty dang good. And I think on Sunday, our fight and what we were doing, anytime you get to the free throw line 16 times and a half, you're doing some things right. You're doing some things right. And that's the kind of game Kansas City brings. Most of the games they're in, that's the way they kind of set the tone that way. It's either going to be a foul fest or the refs are going to let you play more, and it's going to be really, really physical, and it's going to be lower possessions. And you've got to be able to, I'm a big believer that you need to be ready to win games in the 50s, and you need to be able to win games in the 80s. And you got to be able to you got to be a team that can do both. And we've shown that we can in the 50s, but we got to get better offensively and be a little more confident from the free throw line and from open threes to be a team that can win in the 80s.
You just touched on it, certainly when playing Kansas City, and you touched on it after those games as well, how hard they play. And maybe that is applicable here to Oral Roberts in their home venue over the years. It's been my experience that they play really hard down there in their home venue, and you almost have to just get ready and set for another tough test, basically, from a team that really gets into you in Oral Roberts.
Well, and you've got, I think, 2 players that might be superior to any other players in our league, Banner and Osmus. I don't know how to say his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I think you got 2 players there that are, you could say you could put them in the top 3-4 players in the league on that team, especially the way O'Banner's playing right now. I think he's a lot different guy than he was last year. I think he went back a little bit more to how he played as a freshman, but now he's a junior with a lot more experience, with a lot better body, and a lot more confidence. So those are 2 guys. And then, like I said, they're surrounded with experienced physical guys, athletic guys. And when they're at home, they're from what my experience last year was we played with them for a while, and then they really got it going offensively in transition. So we've got to do all we can to slow them down and to make it really, really hard on their guys, as hard as we can.
What have you thought about the way you've tried to bring De'Sean back into the fold? And, does his ability to drive the basketball, does that give you an element offensively that you've been missing?
It felt like that on Sunday. I felt like it was the first time since he's been trying to come back with his ankle that he was catching with the idea of getting to the rim. The other times it feels like he's been a little more tentative and more dribbles to get there, a little less confident. And I just thought Sunday that switch turned a little bit for him more. And I think he followed it up with a good practice today, which is good to see, because that's what you want. You want to see him practice in the way he needs to practice. And I felt today he practiced really well. And I think anytime you're coming back from the injury that he had, where he missed weeks of practice, a couple weeks of practice, it's hard to just become that guy that everyone expects you to be. You need to kind of grind through it in practice as well. And I felt like today was the first time in practice that he's really grinded through it and had a good practice to go along with his effort on Sunday. And that's the mentality he's got to have. It's just not going to come back and happen easily. And I loved what he did. He got to the free throw line 9 times, was 7 of 9, with 3 of 6 from the field. I think he'll tell you he had a couple open looks that I think he's normally knocking down, but it's just finding that rhythm and confidence again for him. And loved it today in practice. I just felt it was a little more business-like today for him. And that's what we like to see.